For many years, they mocked her. They labeled her a barren because she has been looking for a fruit of the womb. Then her business began to collapse. What went wrong, and how did she overcome? Please stay with me and see how God did His wonders. For many years, Winifred had been looking for a fruit of the womb. She wanted a child she could call her own. She prayed, she fasted, she visited many houses of God, but nothing seemed to work for her. Then one day in her desperation, she, in company of a friend, paid a visit to a man who was said to have powers to make things happen. When they got there, the first thing they were requested was a substantial sum as consultation fee. She managed to make the payment just to see what will happen. When they eventually met the man, he requested that she does certain rites which no God-fearing person will do. At that point, she stood up and left. She told herself that what they are requesting for is not worth it at all. She did not go back there again. As a result, she concentrated on prayers, even though that route seems to take longer and more demanding. But like they said, the ways of God are not the same as those of man. What will be like 30 years in the eyes of man may be like minutes in the eyes of God. It is said that God uses this waiting period to test our faith, to see how loyal and faithful man is to his Creator. Hence, for years, Winifred lived with these sounds of mockery. She has become used to people looking at her and speaking in low tones among themselves whenever she walks by. But behind all this mockery, she carries a heart that still believes that God's time is the best. She remains unshaken and continues to pray to God to give her a child. As if calling her barren was not enough, her business begins to take a dive for the worse. Inside her shop were drums of groundnut oil waiting to be bought. Agreed, the economy is not presently friendly. But the effect appears to be hitting her own business too hard. Customers are no longer showing up at all. It was so bad that cobwebs and dusts were beginning to settle on some of the drums of oil. It is rather surprising. Ordinarily, these drums do not stay more than 5 days on the shelf, at most 1 week. But here we are talking about stocks that are now staying up to 1 month and above on the ground. Yet people are not showing up at all. This is strange. Something must be wrong, she told herself. Then she decided to sit down and do some mental calculation about what could have been responsible for such a drastic drop. She now began to remember a few things. It is not like the situation is that bad for the whole business environment. She has a number of colleagues in the trade who are still doing well. Most often, they order for replenishment of stock from the same producers. When the orders are ready, they go to pick them together so as to save costs. Like they hire a vehicle together and, split the cost of transportation. Hence, the number of times they make such orders tells one who is making sales and who is lagging behind. The last time she picked up orders, She did so with her friend called Juliet. That was about a month and 2 weeks back. Since then, Juliet had ordered 2 more times, if not more than that. But her own stocks were still heavy on ground. She remembered that some of the dealers had requested that she join the local market women union, but she had refused. They had paid her several visits and insisted that she joins, else they will run her out of business. She had decided to call their bluff and refused to join. Ordinarily, she saw nothing wrong in joining the union, but it has come to her notice that members of that association are too fetish. While she did not see anything wrong in joining such union, she does not like the idea of being fetish in their approach. She learned that they were responsible for the collapse of some businesses of some sellers who refused to be part of the association. She has, however, been told that the only way they can get at you is through somebody who operates from the inside. That is to say that they can get your downfall through you as a person or through a staff working for you in the business. In any case, they cannot get her downfall through herself. She knew they could do that through any of her staff. She was therefore very careful about the type of people she employs in her staff. But you cannot just be too sure of people. Most people care a lot about the money. They could easily be swayed with just little money. Some can even eliminate with one small money, so one cannot be too sure. It is therefore not impossible that something strange must be happening inside her own environment. Maybe somehow they have really penetrated her staff. She cannot say. She felt that what is happening now is not ordinary. Most often, it takes the grace of God to overcome forces like that. Or so she was told. She remembered the story which her friend Mama Efe told her, how she refused to join their occultic association, how they have come against her spiritually and physically, but that she had eventually used wisdom to overcome them. Mama Efe has told her that she cannot fight the occult worlds through physical means. All you need to do was go at them spiritually. She did not take Mama Efe seriously when she was narrating her experience and what she did in the process. But now that she is beginning to experience it personally, she was beginning to have a rethink. Hence, she decided to go and seek the wise counsel of Mama Efe. But while she was still thinking of what to do, there came a prophetess to her shop. The prophetess told her that she has a message from God to her. She was often not comfortable with people who come to you to say that they have a message from God. Many of such people are just jokers and charlatans looking for the money. That is not to say that every one of them is bad. But then, how do you differentiate between the good and the bad under the circumstance? In the dream which she had, said the prophetess, she saw her shop filled with stocks and customers were trooping in and out, buying. Her stock was therefore not staying long on the shelf. But along the line, some people became jealous of her. Their thinking was that she was selling too much, even though she is not a member of their association. They have therefore used their powers to tie down her business. She must therefore need to do some bodily cleansing in a river and other things before their powers could be untied. But she was not used to rituals like that and have therefore ignored her message. But has not ignored the message completely. In fact, that message was the reason that her visit to Mama Efe became very necessary. Winifred then paid a visit to Mama Efe. When she got there, she narrated her experiences to Mama Efe. She listened to her and said, "I am not surprised about what you have just told me, because I have been through that route before. Mine was even worse. You remember I told you that I went through hell in the hands of these people. I only used wisdom to fight them. We have a saying that goes thus: you cannot fight a witch with an ordinary knife. If you have to fight a witch, you need to do that with the armor of God. I was very prayerful. I petitioned God and heaven fought my battles. When they discovered that they could not stand me spiritually, they came at me physically. But all through that ordeal, I was always on my knee, asking God to take control. At the end of it all, they and their leaders came crawling on their knees, begging. It was not by my power or strength, but by the grace of the Most High. Once your hands are clean and you believe and have faith in God, there is nothing they can do to you. Stand up, let us go to Tuesday, our prayer meeting, and you will hear testimonies of cases, some even worse than your own. But at the end of the day, they will come around to testify how God had come to their assistance. In fact, they went there at the nick of time. They went on a Tuesday when the meeting was very hot and people sending their petition to God. The congregation was very heavy. People were everywhere. Before long, people were asked to present their prayer points. One after another, they did. Winifred presented her own. "O God, arise and scatter those that have conspired to tie down my business. Expose them, O Lord." Then came the prophecy. "There is a woman here whose business has been tied up by or with an unseen rope. But tonight, that bond is broken." Winifred observed that the only difference between this message and that of the prophetess was the way to go about spoiling the so-called curse. This message is more acceptable to her, as he talks about destroying the curse through prayers. They went on. "The woman is here now. They have used one of your trusted staff members to penetrate your business. Tonight, that rope is cut to pieces. As we pray here, fire shall be burning that contact person. This night, at the most tomorrow morning, that staff member will be gone. You need not fight nor quarrel with her. Just leave the fighting with the Most High God. The moment she leaves your place, the yoke would have been broken, and your business shall breathe again." If you know you fit into the category we have just mentioned, please come out here. Before they could finish the announcement, Winifred ran out to the altar. She told Mama Efe, who was seated by her side, that the announcer is obviously referring to her. Eventually they prayed for her and told her that the staff will do something and eventually run away before the sun rises tomorrow. Go back and continue to glorify God because He has done it for you. Early next morning, one of our very trusted assistants forged her signature on a piece of paper representing an IOU, took some huge sum from the cashier, and bolted away. She gave the cashier the impression that her madam wanted her to go buy a few things in the market. Ordinarily, such IOUs should be returned at about 12 a.m. with the relevant receipt. But when she did not come back by 12 and it was creeping towards 12:30 p.m., the cashier raised an alarm and went to the madam to find out when the lady will come and retire the IOU she collected. Only for Winifred to say that she did not ask anyone to collect an IOU. Winifred wanted to scream at the cashier, but she remembered what they told her at the prayer meeting. It is not by your power or might. Just let her go. Winifred retraced her step, and told the cashier to go and sit down, that she will sort it out. She then remembered again Mr. Akan saying, "Faith must pass through fire before it shines." Every day and night, Winifred will kneel down in her shop, praying and saying that same word repeatedly. "Oh God, arise and scatter those that have conspired to tie down my business. Expose them, oh Lord." She will pray and pray until some very solid sweat begins to pour out of her body. She had been told that once she starts her prayers, the devil will take flight and abandon their destructive tendencies. But that she should not relent, because the devil is very treacherous. He will find other means of coming back once he discovers that his initial plan had been exposed. But with persistent prayers, he will know that there is no way for him. He will finally flee. Hence, she had not relented and had continued on and on. At that point, where it began to look like discouragement, she had not relented, as she remembers again the words of Mr. Akan, "Faith must pass through fire before it shines." When she remembers these words, it gingers her to continue with what she was doing. After prayers, she will begin to sing and glorify God. Very soon, things began to happen. She observed that the customers were beginning to patronize her gradually again. It was not like the usual large number of customers she used to have, but a gradual increase in numbers were being observed. Even at that point, she did not relent in her prayers and improvement in her services to customers. Then someone came in one day. Her name was Janet. She told her that she works in an advertising firm, that their firm is in the business of taking the products of small businesses and showing them to the world through the internet. Winifred burst into laughter and said, "Where do I have money to pay for such services?" But Janet assured her that the rate was very reasonable, that their charges do not break the bank. So she agreed with Janet and decided to try. Janet eventually took her business to many parts of the world through her company's internet system. Before long, what she considered a waste of money soon began to pay dividends. From far and near, others began to flood in. She now began to replace stock in quick succession again. She began to think that Janet and her advert firm were part of the whole process, put in place by God to build her business up again. As the referrals were coming through the adverts on the internet, so were they also coming from the person-to-person referrals. Then one day, some people walked straight into her shop. They said that they were exporters and want to buy goods worth millions, that they will do a bank transfer immediately and take away the goods. Winifred was very happy when she had the request. But as happy as she was, she does not want to lose her guard. Thank God that she was alert. She had heard a lot about people who walk into stores, buy goods and do a transfer that eventually turned out to be fake, even after the seller had received an alert. So she was very cautious with that transaction. They have therefore made it one of their policies not to depend on alerts alone before releasing goods. True enough, they told her what they wanted and appeared to be in a hurry to take the goods away. At that point, Winifred was put on the alert. They now did a supposed transfer, and Winifred got an alert quite alright. But they were told to wait for the goods to be arranged. While that was being done, Winifred told them that someone will want to go and confirm the payment from the bank nearby because of the huge amount involved. They became ruffled when they heard that story and then excused themselves, saying that they want to buy a few other things down the road and that they will soon be back. They never came back. It was later realized that there was no transfer at all. The alert earlier sent was a spurious alert used to trick people out of their hard-earned money. When Winifred narrated this event later, it was seen as part of the antics of the devil to fight back. Hence, she must be strong in prayers and should not relent. A number of large orders came eventually, but the one that eventually turned the whole business around came one day. Winifred was sitting in her shop when a Nigerian man, closely followed by some foreigners, came into her shop. He had previously seen her adverts and had done several background checks and had seen that she had a lot of experience in the business. She did not believe they would show up until they eventually did. They there and then made orders that were worth millions and made payments. The payment was eventually confirmed. The order was a very large one, which her present capacity could not effectively handle. She now had to hire more hands to handle this singular order. Even as this was going on, more orders kept pouring in, and which made her really need much more additional hands. As it were, the same woman that they mocked has now become an employer of many. She was later to buy machines and equipment with which she began to produce items that had already been paid for by her customers. When later she stood before the congregation to give her testimony, she was very happy. She went down memory lane, narrated how she had been mocked for what they called barrenness. They were later to start mocking her for her failing business. But that she is now happy that the Lord has done it for her in all her requests. That she has spent many years looking for a fruit of the womb. While she was in the process of trying to get one, she had gone to many doctors and hospitals without results. But today, she is pleased to announce that the Lord has done it for her. that she's now a few months pregnant. She has shamed the devil, and the devil has failed. Her business, which was doing fine before, suddenly began to go bad. But she gave God glory that through the efforts of Mama Efe and her colleagues at the Tuesday prayer hour, the Lord has smiled at her in no small measure. She gave glory to God for His doing. Her story shows that God's delay to answer our prayer should not be seen as denial. Most often, the Lord tries to strengthen us for the journey ahead, so that when He begins to pour His blessings on us, we should be able to care for it. If you have listened to this story of Winifred and you have benefited one or two things from it, please give us a thumbs up, share and subscribe. You may also wish to make a comment. Please do so in the comment section of this video. Thank you very much for being here.